before we start?
Yeah, hello everybody. This is the DCG development update, and we are here with the platform, the core, and the mobile team to give you an update of what happened in the past 2 weeks. We are planning this session for 60 minutes, and if you have any questions, please use a Q or a question prefix in the live chat below so we can answer them in the dedicated Q&A session at the end. All right, without further ado, let's start with the platform team. And let me share my screen as well. Woohoo! Sam,
Okay.
would you kick us off?
Yeah, well, hello everybody. So what have we all been working on? So platform stability has been me, Lucas, and Ivan. Just a little bit, not that much, not as much as previous weeks. SDK largely done by Lucas and Ivan. I did a few things in SDK as well. Lucas also worked a little bit on TenderDash. Me and Ivan worked a little bit on withdrawals at the very beginning, two weeks ago. And me, Paul, and Odysseus worked on the Dash Evo tool, and Evgeny worked on GroveDB. We're gonna do things in a slightly different order today. So we're gonna start with TenderDash. So Lucas, would you kick us off, please?
Yeah, hi. So basically, in terms of TenderDash, not much progress this sprint because I spent much more time on Rust SDK, but basically 4 topics are open. First one is Docker logging to standard out. It's very inconvenient for people to work with logs from TenderDash, especially grepping, looking for something. And to address this feedback, it's a small improvement. It's in review because we just didn't push it forward. Another tickets that are, I would say, on hold, not in review, but also some update of Mockery. So a Mockery library was updated, and we have that pending work to apply this update. And with new version of Golang, the linter shows many warnings in the code base. It's in progress, also not much progress this sprint, and it's just listing it here to see its open topic. And a bug reported by community that during quorum rotation, sometimes some list of validators and endpoint fails due to some bug. It's almost fixed in review status. And the last one is more for the RS TenderDash ABCI library that is a library that links TenderDash with platform. So it's improvement and small refactoring, covering all the messages provided by this binding, so by the RS TenderDash ABCI library to drive and to basically platform, because we needed more messages. This PR is just enabling that for all messages that are defined there. And that's pretty much it in terms of TenderDash. And majority of our effort, Mai and Ivan contributed, I think, at the same level or even more than me to this effort, was on improving SDK. First thing we merged, it was started previous sprint, but we merged, actually it's a bug fix. So in some use cases, some detected that the SDK got stuck and wasn't able to get any response to send requests. And this is fixed and already merged into one for dev. Not sure if if it's released or not, but it should be released in the next version. Another bug is that SDK was just losing the order of objects returned from Drive. I think also started previous sprint, finalized this sprint. And at the beginning of this sprint, I started to work on a small task that looked small because some nodes were stale. So if a node is stale, it gets disconnected from the chain basically, and it's stuck on some historical height. It still can answer to queries, but these answers are not reliable. And we decided we need to fix it, and the fix consists of multiple steps. First step, which was quite easy, is that detection of stale nodes. It works by comparing height in the response. So if the node sends a response, it includes the height at which it is. So this feature compares it with last known height. If this node gave older height that height retrieved from previous node or from another node that is saved, we consider it stale. We have tolerance of one block, but basically if the height is mismatch, we return error. This is merged, and this is already in one for dev, so will be released in the next release. And second part of this solution is to retry on top of this error status. So basically, SDK will retry automatically. And to do that, we had to improve error handling in the provide request execution information. We refactored the error handling in Rust SDK. It's a breaking change, I think, for people. So that's important. And that was mainly done by Ivan. Next step was to implement the retry logic. It's implemented at this point for fetch and fetch many, so for read operations. But we plan also to add this logic. It should be much faster right now because we have some method of doing that already implemented. I wouldn't name it a framework, but we have some function that will do the job for us, hopefully, without many modifications. So basically, we need to apply that for other operations. And also, in order to test it correctly, we had to refactor the mocking subsystem or RSSDK. It will be also a breaking change, but I don't think anyone external is using this mocking engine. And it's in review right now. And two more fixes done by Ivan. First one is another change in error handling. So basically, the error handling is not, or is providing more detailed error messages in case of errors received from DAPI, and also some improvements of like address list errors. So also improvements from. So basically, that's all about error handling. These two are last PRs. And that's pretty much it in terms of me and TenderDash and Rust SDK. And
Thank you. Sam?
Yes, thanks, Lukasz. Okay, so talking about withdrawals, I think this is on a lot of people's minds. And for the last 2 days, we haven't had withdrawals. So why? Why have we not had withdrawals? And let me tell you. Basically, we use a rotating list of quorums, and there are 24 quorums. And if you care to figure out how quorums work, you can watch the review from 2 weeks ago where I explain it. But right now, I'm just going to talk about the issue. When we're on quorum 20, so there are 24 quorums. I'm in the example, I'm naming them from 1 to 24, but index there's 0 to 23, right? Basically, if we are in quorum 22 and a new quorum comes in, like a new one has been created by core, this happens every hour, that quorum gets inserted in as quorum 1, but we stay on the same quorum, and the quorum 22 is now called quorum 23. When the quorum 23 ends, it will select the next quorum by doing its index plus 1 modulo 22. And this is basically to get to the beginning of the list. And this will give 1. And the index 1. So basically, we'll go directly to quorum 2 instead of quorum 1 in this case. And that's the issue of why we don't go to quorum 1. We'll be fixing this in version 1.5.0, which we aim to release this week. 1.5.0 will have what was originally in 1.4.2, as well as this fix. And it will require a hard fork upgrade. And so since the epoch is changing today, we should see it activate in about 2 epochs from now, in 18 days. Until then, the simple solution on how to fix this is when we're in quorum 22, we have to basically have it mean that we have to go through all the proposers in the quorum to be able to go back to quorum 1. Yeah. So how do we do that? We just need to make transitions when we're in quorum 22 to basically end it, so it doesn't ever go to, so a new quorum doesn't come in automatically. If community members want to do it, basically just make a state transition. Any state transition will do. A document update state transition will do. Like there's anything that moves the chain along. Yeah. Also, the reason why we didn't see this on testnet is because testnet has quorums of 25 members, not 100. And basically, with 25 members, generally the quorum will end almost always on testnet. But with 100 members, no, it doesn't. Often we are generally in the middle or around the middle of the quorum when a new quorum comes in from core. Okay. Next one. What have I worked on a lot? A lot of platform stability fixes. So there was an issue with pagination when querying ascending on an empty field. I know that's a little bit of a mouthful. Pagination basically means, hey, I want to get this information from platform, like a query for documents, but I want to get it not the first page of results, but the next page of results. And there was, if the value in the index was null, so this is a pretty rare case, there could be an issue. The next one was basically, while I was fixing that one, I found that querying descending on an empty field had an issue, so I fixed that as well. In the Rust SDK, we didn't have pagination support. I added it. I also added transfer support into the Rust SDK. You could do transfers with the Rust SDK, but you had to write some extra code. So now it's a lot easier to do credit transfers between identities using the Rust SDK. Okay. Next slide, please. Wallet support. Yes. So I integrated DIP14 into Rust-core. This allows int256 derivation. Why? Rust-core had some wallet features, but it didn't have the new stuff that's needed for Dash Pay. I wanted to put it in just so it was complete. And we can later use Rust-core basically to do all of this derivation that we'll need for various projects in the future. I also created an easy derivation tool for like HD wallets in Rust-core. This is because of the wallet work that I'm doing in the -evo tool. We also had a big issue with compiling the -evo tool. And that was because of the BLS library that we were using. BLS is a signature scheme library. So I replaced it with a new one, and but that was a significant amount of work to replace it. So the new library is not written in C++, it's written in pure Rust. So it allows platform now to be much faster and much easier compiled to various languages. Okay, next slide. Dashmate. Ivan?
Thank you, Sam. Hello, everyone. During the sprint, we did some fixes in Dashmate, what you asked for a while. I guess the main one is the wrong version of the platform in the status command. We previously displayed the version of tender-dash. Now we use drives version. And for this, we implemented a special command for drive to return the version. And we also added protocol versions. So if you do the Dashmate status platform, you can see the current version and desired version of the platform. I noticed, working on the versions, I noticed that drive status doesn't work properly. Basically, we're just ignoring this check and just somehow showing every time that everything is fine. So I had to fix it as well, and it led to some changes in drive itself, because this status command in drive worked only when we enable Prometheus metrics. So basically that's fixed. And so the drive status, the true status now. And we did work on the port check for status and for Dashmate doctor commands. And if for some issues happening during the port check, we are logging this information in the doctor report. So we can see actual, not just the fact of the error, but what the actual error happened. So better investigate the issue. It was the case last sprint. Balazs, next slide, please. Yeah, and another report from the developer from our community. It was combination actually of two bugs that in DAPI client we retried the state transition, what was invalid due to the structure of state transition, and that was the problem. DAPI client shouldn't retry such state transitions. It only does it for state transitions that are correct, but in case of some network instability or some node malicious acting and things like this, that should be the case for retrying. And the second part of this problem was in DAPI. When tender-dash reporting that he knows about this state transition, we're just saying it's a chain, state transition already in the chain error, but it's not actually true, because there might be different states. The state transition might be in mempool, it might be just invalidated. Might be not in the chain and other statuses. So in this, we also fixed the proper reporting. So now we're saying what actually the status is. And if it was just invalidated, we're showing what the exact error was. Yeah, and today we started to update platform for new Core 22 nightly for testing the core and withdrawal fixes, what we're preparing for upcoming version of the platform, I guess 1.6. The limits and the quorum limitations will be removed. So it's not for today, but I mean, we're starting testing this already on DevNets. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. I got back from Italy 2 weeks ago from vacation, and since then, Sam has introduced me to Dash Evo tool, and that's what I've been working on the past 2 weeks. It's a big upgrade from the TUI because it's super easy to use, and you can click on buttons and stuff instead of doing stuff in the terminal. So the main things I did the past 2 weeks is, well, the main feature really that I added, which I'm going to do a quick demo, is DPNS name registration and masternode voting. Balazs, can you let me share my screen? All right. So here is this button here is the DPNS basically screen. Right now we're looking at the active contests on testnet. I just created one. Again, on testnet, contests only last for an hour, so that's why there's just one. You can see active contests, past contests, and my owned usernames. These are all the usernames that all of my loaded identities own. So to register a name, you just click up here, register name. You can select an identity. Right now, I just have this one. And you can type your name here and register name.
I don't think you have, is it running?
Yeah. That's just like a connection error. Just need a retry. Okay, so now I can go back and hit refresh, and we'll see new contest here. And
Okay, small issue. It doesn't when it works, it doesn't go back sometimes.
yeah, I guess like there's some issue with where I'm not getting a response about the state transition result. So if you just wait 5 seconds, it probably, I mean, I've never seen it not work. So I have a masternode loaded. Actually, this is a HP masternode, so I can now vote on this name. So I can vote to lock it, abstain, or vote for myself, which I'll do. I get this pop-up, and I can select an identity to vote with. And if you have multiple, you can click all to use all your identities to vote for it. So I vote, I'll wait a second and then hit refresh. Oh,
It already did it. This
cool.
time it worked.
Yeah.
Just so people know, like HP, the reason why it's HP Masternode is in our internal infrastructure, right? Before we rename them to Evo nodes, there's some remnants of HPMN, and I think we loaded that in, and it basically just called it that, and we didn't touch it. But yeah, they're Evo nodes.
Oh,
It's not in any UI. It's just
it's in the config file that we
yeah,
have.
it's in a config file, but not a just a small mistake.
Yeah. I also added this refresh button on identities, so now you can refresh the balance. So yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, the
So
keys. Your keys.
yeah, this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this identity has a ton of keys and it was going off the page, so I added this view more so you can see them here instead of having a massive list.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
cool. I'll do the next demo right afterwards then.
Okay. I'm finished, so go ahead.
Yeah. So contrary to what everybody has just seen Paul demo, my stuff is much, much more in progress. So there's a lot of stuff just not working very well. But I'll share it anyways, and because it is pretty cool stuff. Okay. Can people see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So you guys can see on the left side, we have a lot of new things. So we just saw the first one basically is your identities. The second one we saw were the contests. The third one is a wallet that we now have. So basically, you can create a wallet. I'm not sure if I showed this 2 weeks ago. I'm going to assume I did not. If I did, I'm sorry. But yeah, basically, you can create a wallet. So if you want to add a wallet, you can go up here and add wallet. This is a little thing up here where you can play around and generate some entropy. Then press generate. It will create a seed phrase. I wrote it down. Here you can add a password that will be asked of you every single time you want to use the wallet. And then you can press save wallet. And now there is a wallet. So right now we have two wallets. So let's call this wallet one. And this one is wallet two. And here in wallet two, you can add receiving addresses. And these are tracked automatically with Dashcore. So if money comes into this address, Dashcore will tell this app that money was received. Actually, I can do it right now in this wallet. I'm just going to send something. This is on testnet, so anybody can send. I'm going to send one dash. Okay, so it was sent. If I refresh right now, oh, what's going on here? Oh, I'm in debug mode. Sorry. The Dash Evo tool was in debug mode, so it was giving me breakpoints when it happened. Anyways, yes. So we see that we received one dash here. The balance here is still at 0 because there were no blocks yet. I update the balance once one block comes in. That's incorrect. I'm fixing that right now. So this is kind of what I'm saying, that like not everything is working perfectly yet. I want to update the balance as soon as you get an instance unlock. But yeah, still in progress. So that's that screen. We also have another screen down here that Odysseus has worked on a lot. I'm not going to give it a what should we do, Odysseus? Should I show it quickly or not? It doesn't.
We can do a small teasing, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So if
we
I
know
click on it, basically it shows it shows all the withdrawals and it gives pages of withdrawals. But as people can see, like right now, here's an issue, right? It multiple are just duplicated. So we have there, it's in progress, basically, the screen. And we're going to have the pagination working and a lot of other features working here. So you can select by status and you can basically see all the information per day. But not going to be in the next version of Dash Evo tool, which we aim to release pretty soon.
Basically,
Okay.
sorry, we decided not to include this window because of the pagination issue on platform described by Sam like 3 slides ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's ready, but the pagination issue on platform needs 1.5 released for the pagination to work properly. And until that works properly, it's going to really, if there are a lot of withdrawals, the pages are just not going to work properly and things will not, I mean, we'll get a lot of complaints. So best not put it in until it works properly. Okay, so let's go in here. And now there's also a create identity. Woo, create identity. Oh, let's see what's that. So you can press create identity and you select your funding method. So, oh, well, actually, first you select your wallet, select your funding method. So how do we want to create our identity? We can use the unused Evo funding locks. Oh no, another breakpoint. Let me go back. I should have really run this in release instead of debug mode. So this is the various things how you can create your identity. The most easy one is for users is address with QR code. If you didn't have a wallet balance or if you don't have a unused Evo funding lock, this is the only thing that will show the address with QR code. So you go here, address with QR code. Oh, okay. It does not work if you have multiple wallets. Okay, a new issue. I am going to just do something really quick to fix that. I'm going to, so people can actually see what it looks like. And let me reshare my screen. So I started from scratch. We have no wallets. So people can actually see a little bit more what it's like. So I created my wallet, wrote it down. Oh, no, I have to generate it first. I wrote it down, save wallet, create identity, select funding method, and we only see QR code, right? Because the wallet doesn't have any funds. Okay, now you see there's an address with a QR code. You could take your wallet, you could just scan, like send money to this, and then it will automatically create your identity with the amount that you sent here. Let's imagine we did it. So we copied the address here. I'm going to send money to it. But again, this is very much in progress. So the UI does not look great. There are bugs as we've seen, but I still wanted to show people kind of where we're at. So I'm sending 0.2 dash right now. I just sent. Theoretically, it should, once there's an asset lock, it should automatically update this screen. I think it checks every 15 seconds or something, or not. Will this work? Waiting for funds to continue. Okay, it did not work. Let's see what it says in our wallet. It still has issues. Okay, now it sees that it has some funds, but yeah, I think oh, thank you, community, for sending me more and more funds. I don't know who just did that, but thanks. I appreciate it. Oh, somebody's sending me more. Oh, excellent. I think the issue right now is it's waiting for a block to happen. So let's just wait for a block to happen on testnet, and then the balance will be there, and then we can see uh, the next part. Oh, I want it to happen so quickly. Please block on testnet. We don't. What was the last block? Console. Sorry, get best block hash. Get
How
block.
about we continue and get back to
No,
it?
no. Well, yeah, I guess we should. Well, what it looks like basically is that you can then use your acid lock and you can then create the acid lock, and then it basically it just says, how many keys do you want for this identity on generation? You just select the amount of keys you want and what your keys are for. Generally, you also have a default for people who just don't know, and that just generates the default identity, which is pretty much what's needed for most. You press generate, and the identity is created, and whoop-de-doo, everything is good. So what still needs to be done to release Dash Evo tool with these features? Well, clean up basically clean it up so it works well enough instead of having these issues. But all the features are written in at this point. They were finished today. It's just we need to get to that polishing phase. So it will be out once we get rid of all these issues. Well, thanks, guys. Let me stop sharing, and let me just make sure if there's still no block on testnet. Oh well. Okay, let's continue on.
All right, do you want to talk anything else about the Dashivo tool? Should I skip this? I mean, move forward with the slides?
Oh, no, I can say quickly. So yeah,
Okay.
we talked about this. Odysseus also worked on storing files and the user application data. Like that when basically the goal is when, for example, on Mac or on different things, you just open the download and you drag it to your application folder, and then everything works. You don't have to do like a complicated command. Everything will just theoretically work. Yeah, and then the wallet, the transfer. Oh, we also have transfers now. Transfers are done and working, but I don't really feel like bringing the screen back up. But that will also be in the next version, so you can do in platform transfers, not Dash Pay, but so just for people wondering, the transfers on platform have zero anonymity, right? But yeah, you can do them. Okay, cool. Let's move on.
Let's continue with GroveDB.
Thank you. Hello, GroveDB people speaking. What's on the plate? It's bidirectional references. So as some of you may know, GroveDB have a references support. However,
there's a thing. If a value that is referenced by another reference and got changed, the information about this change is not propagated back to the reference to that value. And that violates some hashes we have in our Merkle trees. And it sounds, yeah, it sounds bad, but it works for now for us in platform because we do these checks in platform. However, as we think and as every proper database should provide a consistency, so we want to have it in GroupDB as well. That's why we're working on bidirectional references now. And while doing this work, also, we started to address some old technical debt we have because it's been a while since we addressed such kind of issues in GrooveDB before the release. And we noticed an issue with atomicity in certain operations under certain conditions. Would happen rare, but still it is possible. And also we don't use them in platform as well. So we just remove them. And basically it was a fix. And also this started a waterfall of positive changes to our code base. So developers' experience also got improved. For instance, we removed a lot of nested macros legacy we had, and it would simplify things a lot in GrooveDB. So yes, I think that's all I want to share with you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, GroupDB team. All right, let's move on to the core team. Pasta.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Balash. We can move on to the next slide here. So, actually, a lot of really interesting stuff to report this week. We released 21.1.1 that fixed a couple of bugs that affected some like exchange partners and the like. So that was an important release to get out there and help resolve their issues. Those issues were related to some like serialization of asset locks. A couple of commands on specific blocks didn't work. So pushed out that release, helped them out, got that done in just a day or two. The next major thing I want to talk about is BIP 324 is actually completed. Kitty Whiskers did an amazing job working on this. It took quite a while. We've been working on it for quite some time, and I mean, so is Bitcoin Core, but we've been working on it for quite some time. It's now merged in to develop as fully feature ready. It is merged in kind of as a beta. It is not enabled by default. However, if you do enable it and you connect to another peer who has it enabled, that connection would be P2P encrypted, which is really, really valuable. So we're going to use this on testnet. We're going to do some testing with it in the V22 cycle. And then maybe about 2 to 4 weeks after V22 is released, we're going to be releasing V22.1. And one of the big things included in V22.1 is going to be enabling this P2P encryption by default. We don't want to enable it by default in version 22 just to be safe, make sure there are no bugs in it. That also provides, right, if we release 22.1 and it turns out that there is a problematic bug in the P2P encryption, it's very easy to just tell people, okay, you can downgrade to version 22. So right now it's not enabled by default. You have to manually enable it, but all of the code is there. All of the tests are passing. Everything is working. So we're really excited about that. Asset unlocks, the quorum limitation fixes, as well as increasing the limit up to 2000 dash flat. So it's no longer like 10% or anything like that. It's just 2000 dash a day. It keeps it nice and simple. And so both of those fixes or improvements have been done and merged into develop, and we're moving forward with V22. Improved headers download, that's been done for quite a while. I think I've talked about that before. Improved handling of DSQ messages, I think that's been done for a good little bit, but reduces some bandwidth requirements. That's always good. And V22 is solidly in its like the beginning of its release cycle now. We are rolling out to some devnets right now to ensure compatibility with the platform stack. And once we have that compatibility validated, then we're going to be pushing out to testnet. So testnet should be coming, RC1 should be coming in just a couple of days once this DevNet testing is wrapping up. And then generally speaking, we want to have about 2 weeks on testnet at least before we start thinking about releasing the final version. So 2 good stable weeks on testnet, and we'll be able to release. Obviously, if we run into any issues, that 2 weeks could turn into 3 or 4. But so far, so good. And then on the right-hand side here, you can see some stuff related to v22.x or v23 development. So stuff like C++20 and CMake is being worked on now by Kitty Whiskers. And we will hopefully be upgrading to that in the next major version and or minor versions. There's some other interesting stuff there that we can talk about at a later date. We can move on to the next slide. We merged in a bunch of stuff in the last 2 weeks. This is, I think, pretty much the smallest font I've had to use in quite a while at the very least. I think we merged in well over 300 to 350 commits for just Bitcoin backports. And on top of that, we merged in some fixes and some new features and just generally quite a few PRs. So good work from the team. We were very productive releasing 21.1 as well as merging in all these backports and getting 22 to a state where we're now pushing that out on some devnets. So I think that's all that I wanted to talk about, and we can move on to Brian.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, Pasta. Yeah, move to the next slide on the Android items. So Dash Pay. That should be the last time we see Dash Wallets on these slides. That's essentially going to be our last release of Dash Wallet. I'll go into some more detail on kind of the release plan and what we've done there. But as far as feature work and bug fixes, it was largely fixing any kind of issues that we got from the community from testnet usage as well as the mainnet, both issues and just kind of some feature improvements there, or UI improvements mostly. We also had on a more technical level, just temporarily moving where we store our transaction metadata. We have put, this kind of leads to some prioritization, I guess information, the support for 32-bit devices, we put that on hold for now. It's unclear how many 32-bit devices are currently using Dash Wallet. I mean, it is mostly 64-bit is our thought, but we know the larger majority is going to be 64-bit, which is what we already currently support. But there's a decent amount of work that we need to do to get support for 32-bit devices. And I don't want that to interfere with getting it out to the masses as best we can. So that is on hold for now. As soon as we get the majority or most of all of our planned features out and fixes, then we'll go back to that. Invitation changes is still pending just due to getting our final release ready to go onto the Play Store. And the thumbnail server, we've gotten some work done on that, but we did put it on hold as well for the same reason, just to get some of the other higher priority work done. Move on to iOS. So a lot of Dash Sync work done and in progress. Still mostly on the Objective-C bindings. The non-contested usernames, we've started work on that. It's just the UI related work because until we finish Dash Sync, we can't really get much of the back end work done. But we are making sure we get caught up on that UI work. And then a lot of additional unplanned work for CoinJoin. Some bugs have been found, some things that have been kind of difficult to reproduce that have kind of held back from releasing that to the store. It's stable enough that we don't have concerns of loss of funds, but just what I've seen so far, I feel like the experience just wouldn't be worth releasing just yet. So we need to do a few more fixes. There's some currently a problem with long mixing times, extended, very long mixing times that we need to fix for sure before we release. I'd like to potentially get this out this week, but it really will depend on how some of those fixes go in the coming days. And we had a small change on the Dash wallet. All right, on the next slide, we have the release plan again. This is the same as the last presentation. I just tried to update it based on where we're at now. The 10.3.2 release is done, as I mentioned, for Dash Wallet. We already did release, on App Tester for testnet, so that's already done. Some of these were already updated last week. We did put out, so one small change from what I was planning to do. Instead of releasing to the Play Store, I just did what I'm calling kind of an open beta. Again, it's through the App Tester. It's just not on the Play Store. I didn't want to do a phased rollout because that would only get to, random individuals. This approach let us essentially release to anyone that wanted to use it now, as opposed to every single person out there. So it's available for anyone, on mainnet. We do have some known fixes that we're working on, and I'm hoping that the next version that we put out, that I can put that on the Play Store. But regardless if it goes on the Play Store or not, it should be available to everyone. I wouldn't expect any later than the 4th, so early next week. We might be able to get a version out this week as well. And since if it doesn't go to the Play Store, I'm not concerned about really the weekend, so that could make it available before the weekend. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it there. I mean, we're going to continuously have, I think, a lot of small point releases that we're going to do throughout November, as we, broaden the release and availability of it, but nothing super notable other than, I'd say, invitations being probably the next big feature that would be coming out. All right, and then on iOS, I mentioned, we had a lot of unplanned work on CoinJoin. So although it's possible we could get something out this week, it's really too early to say for sure. So I'm kind of tentatively saying that that's going to be early next week for CoinJoin or balance mixing to come out on Dash Wallet. I highlighted these, doesn't look very pretty, but I highlighted it to try to show, originally I was going to have each of these bullets be a different point release, but the reality is, as we continue on with our UI work, most likely we will have non-contested and contested usernames come out at the same time, most likely. And then the voting would come out probably as a second release. And then, as with Android, we'll have plenty of point releases as we get feedback from people. So that is the plan for iOS.
All right, thank you very much. So let's move on to the questions. Question for Brian. Can you please add a private key export feature for our identity created via the DashPay username registration process? ? I want to load my identity in other tools, but I'm stuck right now.
Yeah, we can certainly look into that. And I might DM you just to get maybe some more specifics on the specific use cases that you're trying, or tools that you're trying to use before we do that. But it probably would be a pretty straightforward enhancement.
All right, thank you very much. Next question. When should we expect Core's standalone node mode so developers won't need to run many nodes locally to develop on Core and platform? Pasta?
Pasta?
Pasta is not here.
Yeah, he just wrote that he need to leave.
He
Ivan
just
is like, how convenient. Ivan, that was your question. Ask him internally.
He's
What
not responding to me internally. That's why I'm
You're
asking
trying-
publicly.
yeah, you're trying to public shame him, but he he pulled a reverse on you and he left early.
Oh, smart.
All right. If you are also interested in this question, please feel free to reach out to Pasta on Discord. All right. When Pasta. And I guess the Slavic's question regarding the fixes of the withdrawal is already answered, which is 1.5, version 1.5, and possibly this week or next week.
Yes, but to be very clear, like once 1.5 comes out, it still needs to be activated on the network. So that would take
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, it's basically, since we're switching epochs right now, it will be 18 days from now when this fix actually activates on the network. Until then, I've detailed like what needs to happen for us to have withdrawals every day. We just basically need quorum 22 to end, meaning that all the members of quorum 22 have proposed the block. And that's not that hard to have happen. You just need a lot of state transitions when we're in quorum 22. So,
I mean,
Yeah.
not a lot, just every block, right? To have it. Like...
No, you need you need, yeah, I mean, you basically, if there is no transaction, it takes 3 minutes. If there is, it takes 2 seconds, right? So we need to go through quorum 22 very quickly when we get quorum 22.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for being here, giving us feedback, questions. Just watch us. Thank you very much. See you in 2 weeks.